What's up, everyone? Welcome back to ELA 1 with Mr. Williamson, your favorite class of the day. Okay, everyone, I have some important information coming up right off the bat, so please stay locked in and focus with me. If you are still unfamiliar with the schedule, each teacher is going to be posting only 2 assignments this week. Okay? You will have no live classes, only testing, live testing. Okay? So each class is going to post 2 assignments, one on Monday and one on Wednesday. The one posted on Monday, you have until the end of Tuesday to complete. The one posted on Wednesday, you have till the end of Thursday to complete. So essentially just 2 halves of the week. So this assignment you complete either Monday or Tuesday. And it'll be like that for each of the classes. So the idea is whatever day you're not testing, you get to complete the assignments. So hopefully you got all that. All right, let's go ahead and get started with the daily quote. Good luck with testing. Maybe you're not seeing this and you've already taken a test. Maybe you're seeing it now. Sorry. Good luck. More testing this week. Focus in. We need the information from your testing. It helps teach us where you guys struggle, where you improve. So I encourage you to not just skip through it and think, oh, this is so dumb, but to put a little effort into it so that it can help us teach, right? So our daily objective for this class, thank you guys for reading those pages in the warm-up. Our objective for this class, I can explore the impact of Christopher's digressions and unconventional narration. Okay, so we're going to look at his digressions. Remember when he veers away from the main story and kind of tells a side story, and his unconventional narration, the way he adds like graphs and pictures and different things into the story. So we're going to explore those and kind of think about what impact they have. Last note before I move on, this class is going to be very heavily primarily me reading. There will be questions that pop up that we'll pause and do throughout. But for the most part, this is going to be me reading. Not a lot of super lengthy responses, but just some stuff to get your mind turning and thinking about as we read. But before we jump into the book, we got to start with some active vocabulary. Okay, everyone. So our first vocab word that we are going to be learning today is impassive. Impassive means not feeling or showing emotion, expressionless. A way that this could be used in a sentence. Although she was deeply hurt by the cruel name-calling of her peers, she remained impassive as she walked by. Now what I want you to do is go ahead and use the word impassive in a sentence of your own. Our second vocab word of the day is unconventional. Unconventional means very different from what people usually do or believe. A way that this could be used in a sentence. The man shocked his wealthy friends with his unconventional lifestyle after he sold his house and belongings and moved to a cabin deep in the woods. Now what I want you to do is go ahead and use the word unconventional in a sentence of your own. Okay, everyone, so we are going to go ahead and start reading again. So what I need everyone to do is please open up your novels to page 22. If you do not have a novel yet, please come to the school and get that sometime during the school day this week. That would be phenomenal. Thank you. All right, so remember, when we read together, you become a better reader. Not only that, but you might need to look back in the text to be able to answer some questions, so you should have that. If you don't have the novel, I am going to read it off the screen. Please come get one soon. Begging you, guys. Begging you. Our focus for these pages, how does Christopher's father care for him? In other words, what does he do to care for Christopher? And then secondly, what helpful information about Christopher's mother does Christopher not have? So he's going to talk about his mother. Remember, we noted that he mentioned that his mother is dead. So he's going to tell us the story, but there's information that he doesn't have. So pay attention to what that might be. Okay, so as mentioned, Christopher is going to go into kind of the situation with his mother and what happened. So we are in chapter 43, which is on page 22. So he says, Mother died 2 years ago. I came home from school one day. No one answered the door. So I went and found the secret key that we keep under a flower pot behind the kitchen door. I let myself into the house and carried on making the air-fixed Sherman tank model I was building. An hour and a half later, Father came home from work. He runs a business and he does heating maintenance and boiler repair with a man called Rodri, who is his employee. He knocked on the door of my room and opened it and asked whether I had seen Mother. I said that I hadn't seen her, and he went downstairs and started making some phone calls. I did not hear what he said. Then he came up to my room and said he had to go out for a while, and he wasn't sure how long he would be. He said that if I needed anything, I should call him on his mobile phone. He was away for 2.5 hours. When he came back, I went downstairs. He was sitting in the kitchen staring out the back window down the garden to the pond and the corrugated iron fence and the top of the tower of the church on Manstead Street, which looks like a castle because it is Norman. Father said, "I'm afraid you won't be seeing your mother for a while." He didn't look at me when he said this. He kept on looking through the window. Usually people look at you when they're talking to you. I know that they're working out what I'm thinking, but I can't tell what they're thinking. It is like being in a room with a one-way mirror in a spy film. But this was nice, having Father speak to me but not look at me. I said, "Why not?" He waited for a very long time. Then he said, "Your mother has had to go into the hospital. Can we visit her?" I asked, because I like hospitals. I like the uniforms and the machines. Father said, "No." I said, "Why can't we?" And he said, "She needs rest. She needs to be on her own." I asked, "Is it a psychiatric hospital?" And Father said, "No, it's an ordinary hospital. She has a problem with her heart." I said, "We will need to take food to her," because I knew that the food in the hospital was not very good. David from school said he went to the hospital to have an operation on his leg to make his calf muscle longer so that he could walk better. And he hated the food, so his mother used to take meals in every day. Father waited for a long time and said, "I'll take some into her during the day when you're at school, and I'll give it to the doctors and they can give it to your mom, okay?" I said, "But you can't cook." Father put his hands over his face and said, "Christopher, look. I'll buy some ready-made stuff from Marks and Spencer's and take those in. She'll like those." I said I would make her a get well card, because that is what you do for people when they are in hospital. Father said he would take it in the next day. Okay, so quick question coming to you. We're going to reread these lines from pages 22 to 23. He didn't look at me when he said this. He kept on looking through the window. Usually people look at you when they are talking to you. I know that they're working out what I am thinking, but I can't tell what they're thinking. It's like being in a room with a one-way mirror in a spy film. But this was nice, having Father speak to me but not look at me. Okay, so a one-way mirror is, I don't know if you've ever seen like a cop show or a detective show, but it's where these people on this side of the mirror can see the people on the other side of the mirror, but they can't see through the opposite direction. So they can't see these people over here. So a one-way mirror separates two different rooms. In the first room, people see themselves reflected in a regular mirror on the wall. The people over here just see a reflection. But in the second room, which is these people, that mirror is a window, so the people in the second room can secretly watch the people in the first room. So the question is, what is Christopher trying to explain through the analogy of the one-way mirror? He says that you can reread the quote there, but what does he try to explain with this analogy of the one-way mirror? Okay, so here's our possible answer. Christopher is referencing his communication difficulties. Since he has trouble reading facial expressions, like we talked about, he is the one looking in the mirror. He cannot see or perceive other people's emotions, yet feels that they have the ability to figure out his own. So in other words, he normally feels like he can't understand other people, so he's these people over here who only see their own reflection, whereas he feels like everyone else can always see him and his emotions. So that's kind of the analogy he's making. The follow-up question here. When Christopher's father is telling him about his mother in the hospital, it says that his father was not looking at him, right? So the question is, why do you think Christopher's father is not looking at Christopher? Come up with at least 2 reasons to explain why he might not be looking at him when telling him about his mother. So, some of the possibilities as to why his father is not looking at him. It says that he could be distraught and distracted about telling Christopher. The father could be trying not to show his own emotions to Christopher. The father knows Christopher prefers not making eye contact, and the father may be so worried about Christopher's reaction that he's trying to lessen the intensity of what he is going to say. There's also another reason that someone might not look at someone else when telling them information. But I'm going to leave that one up in the air. See if you guys come up with what I'm thinking about. Okay, so if you're in your novel, we're returning to the top of page 24, which is the beginning of chapter 47. In the bus on the way to school the next morning, we passed 4 red cars in a row, which meant that it was a good day. So I decided not to be sad about Wellington. Mr. Jevons, the psychologist at the school, once asked me why 4 red cars in a row made it a good day, and 3 red cars in a row made it a quite good day, and 5 red cars in a row made it a super good day, and why 4 yellow cars in a row made it a black day, which is a day when I don't speak to anyone and sit on my own reading books and don't eat my lunch and take no risks. He said that I was clearly a very logical person, so he was surprised that I should think like this because it wasn't very logical. I said that I like things to be in a nice order, and one way of things being in a nice order was to be logical, especially if those things were numbers or an argument. But there are other ways of putting things in a nice order, and that was why I had good days and black days. And I said that some people who worked in an office came out of their house in the morning and saw that the sun was shining and it made them feel happy, or they say that it was raining and it made them feel sad. But the only difference was the weather, and if they worked in an office, the weather didn't have anything to do with whether they had a good day or a bad day. I said that when father got up in the morning, he always put his trousers on before he put on his socks. And it wasn't logical, but he always did it that way because he likes things in a nice order too. Also, whenever he went upstairs, he went up 2 at a time, always starting with his right foot. Mr. Jeevan said that I was a clever boy. I said that I wasn't clever. I was just noticing how things were, and that wasn't clever. That was just being observant. Being clever was when you looked at how things were and used the evidence to work out something new, like the universe expanding, or who committed a murder, or if you see someone's name and you give each letter a value from 1 to 26, A equals 1, B equals 2, etc., and you add up the numbers in your head and you find out whether that makes it a prime number, like Jesus Christ, which makes the prime number 151, or Scooby-Doo 113, or Sherlock Holmes 163, or Dr. Watson 167. Mr. Jevons asked me whether this made me feel safe having things always in a nice order, and I said it did. Then he asked if I didn't like things changing, and I said I wouldn't mind things changing if I became an astronaut, for example, which is one of the biggest changes you can imagine, apart from becoming a girl or dying. He asked whether I wanted to become an astronaut, and I said I did. He said that it was very difficult to become an astronaut. I said that I knew. You had to become an officer in the Air Force, and you had to take a lot of orders and be prepared to kill other human beings. And I couldn't take orders. Also, I didn't have 20/20 vision, which you needed to be a pilot. But I said that you could still want something that is very unlikely to happen. Terry, who was the older brother of Francis, who was at school, said I would only ever get a job collecting supermarket trolleys or cleaning out donkey shit at an animal sanctuary, and they didn't let spazzers drive rockets that cost billions of pounds. When I told this to father, he said that Terry was jealous of me being cleverer than him, which was a stupid thing to think because we weren't in a competition. But Terry is stupid. So quod erat demonstratum, which is Latin for which is the thing that was going to be proved, which means thus it is proved. I'm not a spazzer, which means spastic. Not like Francis, who is a spazzer, and even though I probably won't become an astronaut, I am going to go to university and study mathematics or physics and mathematics, which is a joint honor school, because I like mathematics and physics, and I'm very good at them. But Terry won't go to university. Father says that Terry is most likely going to end up in prison. Terry has a tattoo on his arm of a heart shape with a knife through the middle of it, but this is what is called a digression. Vocab word, everyone. And now I am going to get back to the fact that it was a good day. Because it was a good day, I decided that I would try and find out who killed Wellington, because a good day is a day for projects and planning things. When I said this to Siobhan, she said, well, We're meant to be writing stories today. So why don't you write about finding Wellington and going to the police station? And Siobhan said that she would help me with spelling and grammar in the footnotes.